This programme contains spoilers and sexual references from the outset and throughout. Hello, welcome to the Ginger Hussies podcast episode 2. This week we're going to be talking about sex education. I'm Roisin.
I'm Alison.
And I'm Dillan.
Oh, also the first 10 minutes, I guess, aren't going to be. It's just not going to be spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll tell you when it's spoilers. We'll put something in the time code if Alison can be bothered.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good.
I enjoyed it. Bits of it I thought were frustrating and made me angry, but I still loved it.
I think yes. Sorry, I just agreed to whine. But I think it's the closest thing we've got to skins in a very long time.
I've heard people say that it's like sex education. Yeah. It's like the in-betweeners with Big Mouth. Which I agree with.
I think it's more like the skins with Big Mouth.
I think though it does have in-betweeners. Yeah. I think it has. Oh, but do you think that means that people are good, edgy teenage girls are going to start being like, oh, I'm like Maeve instead of I'm like Effie?
Yes, I actually do think that's exactly what's going to happen.
We should all be like.
I think I'm so much like Maeve.
Because I basically think it's.
I did the BuzzFeed quiz, and I got Maeve.
I have not done the quiz.
I have not done a quiz either.
But I think I'm much more of an autist myself. What do you think about the cast?
Cast is very good.
Like the cast.
I'm a big fan of
thanks for listening.
Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
I know.
And she looked so beautiful.
Yeah, in all those
She's
pantsuits.
so fit.
Yeah, she was and also her hair. I was like, if I look like that ever in my life, basically.
But yeah,
I've made it.
Most people know Gillian Anderson, I think, probably from X-Files, but I know her from Hannibal mainly, because if you've ever watched the TV show Hannibal, she's Hannibal's therapist, and then Hannibal abducts her in about the end of series 2, series 3. She has a bit of Stockholm syndrome, I believe, or something. But she's so good in everything.
I watched a bit of Hannibal.
She's also in a TV show called, I don't know if you've heard of American Gods. Anyway, she's in that as well, and she's just the best. Gillian Anderson is great in everything.
Also,
she's also great in this.
I also always forget about how much I like Asa Butterfield until I see him in something else. Because I think it's one of them things. Because obviously, he's not that much older than us, really. He's
only a year older than me.
All right. He's younger than me. No, I'm younger
than him. He's
21. He's the same age as me.
Because I think it's one of the things where as he grows, as you grow, he grows as well, and it's sort of as it goes, really.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's sort of like when he was a kid.
He was little Bruno.
Yeah, little Bruno from
in the concentration camp.
Classic.
Isn't he called Shmuel?
No,
Shmuel's the Jewish boy.
His dad was Remus.
Shmuel's the boy in the striped
Remus, David Thewlis from Harry Potter.
The dad, and I always forget that, but naturally he was.
He was the bad guy in Dragonheart.
Also, I don't know the actor who plays Adam, but I really liked him. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I think for his character, his character has a lot.
Because I also feel like you could tell, because I feel like, Ezra Miller in Fantastic Beasts, I personally think that's one of his best performances, because he doesn't speak very much, but you can always tell with his body language. And I think that's the same with Adam in this. His body language is always...
you can see what he's thinking, even though he's acting completely different.
And, you can also, that point... Oh, I can't remember when it was. Oh, yeah, when he was watching Eric and his dad hug. Oh, got me, it did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, a lot about... I think there's a lot of... From the first episode, you'd think there'd be a lot of stereotypes, but I think they all break free. For example, it's kind of like the shy guy trying to get with the outrageous girl, if you know what I mean, in terms of Otis and Maeve. And I'd say the first time you see Eric, he's a stereotypical gay person.
Yeah, flamboyant gay person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam's a stereotypical bully.
And then there's...
Jackson's the stereotypical popular boy.
Jock.
And then, what's the girl with the overbite?
Amy.
Oh, I loved Amy.
Also,
Amy. She is a stereotypical popular girl who doesn't want to be popular.
Yes, she's conflicted in her friendships and stuff like that, and all that stuff.
One group I didn't think you saw break free with popular people.
Yeah.
And I think I can understand why they wouldn't.
Sorry.
I can understand why they were needed.
They were Richards.
I can understand why they were needed, but in the same time, they annoyed me. And I know that they were meant to.
Can I ask this right? when you first watched it, did you know what time it was set in?
No.
Not a clue.
Right. Did you think it was set in the 80s for no reason?
Yeah, I thought because of how they dress. Because like
Yeah.
as you can see by how we've dressed today, corduroys are a big 80s thing.
Honestly, until I saw a phone, I was like, this is in the 80s.
And
Yeah.
then they reference like Ed Sheeran and Kelly Clarkson. I was speaking to one of my lecturers about it, and she was saying that she thinks that she liked how the phones came in, because I was basically saying that I think they should have either chosen modern day or the past.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same way, I do think more people are actually starting to dress like the 80s. Like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if...
Yeah.
No,
For example, like, I
yeah,
wear
this-
these trousers a lot.
The thing, but that's why I was confused, because I couldn't figure out, because I could see somebody dressing like that in the 80s, and I could see somebody dressing like that now, if you know what I mean.
We read something about like what the director said. I can't remember the director's name. Sorry, I'll add it in. And he basically was saying that he was inspired by a lot of John Hughes films, and basically the whole premise, the whole premise of the he was saying basically that because of like it being Otis's the best years of Otis's life. Also, just gonna say, who says sixth form is the best years of your life? It's either secondary school or uni that is labelled the best years of your life.
Right.
But
I
that's
will
just
say
a
this,
personal
right?
thing.
I didn't go to uni, but the best years of my life have all come after I left high school because I hated education. So
I had the best time at sixth form.
I had the
Sixth
best-
form
I
was
think-
the best time.
I think I've had the best time at uni with all my best friends.
the best
No.
time I'm having is right now with you two.
Ah.
So it's like it's supposed to be like nostalgically looking back. Like John Hughes films will have like that
Yeah.
rose-coloured, that rose.
Rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah,
'Cause
rose-tinted glasses.
I'm really looking forward to it because recently, I didn't watch it, but recently there was a Netflix show about the 90s, and I'm waiting going, there's going to be a nostalgia show about the noughties, and that's going to be it. And- yeah, but that's going to be for us, though. That's going to be for us, because that's when we grew up.
Oh, that's good
I
as
know
well.
Yeah.
this makes me sound like I'm really edgy, but like I love the 80s.
No, I do.
Me and my dad, or like every time I go home, every podcast so far I've mentioned my dad. Whenever, like, I love to watch Top of the Pops with my dad, and he always records like Wham documentaries for me. Well,
Well,
mainly George Michael.
I'm about to mention my mum again, but
Hey!
but like because my mum likes Stranger Things like I do, and every time I watch Stranger Things she gets annoyed, but I go, hey, that's from that film from the 80s, and she'll go, shut up, I just want to watch it, and I'm like, yeah, but I just want you to know that I know it's from that. All right.
That's the original point.
Mum, I'm cool. I know stuff.
I've watched films.
Yeah, yeah.
She was saying that she liked how they brought in the phones and stuff like the messaging, because she thinks that a lot of like TV shows and films try to just pretend that phones don't exist and don't
Yeah.
really have phones.
Yeah.
But I think
But
it's
then-
a good way to like continue the narrative. For example, the episode with a picture. That is my
Brilliant.
banana.
Brilliant episode, by
I
the
love
way.
that.
Because I don't think enough talks about revenge porn in a way.
Yeah, and I. I'm
Well,
gonna
we
say
won't
I
get
love
too
revenge
into it
porn.
now.
I
We'll-
think it's
We'll get back
something-
to it more in spoilers,
Yeah,
but it's a very good episode for what's
We have
happening.
so
isn't it?
much
So
to talk
cleverly.
about. This is gonna have to be an hour long, won't it?
I think we should move on to spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Spoiler alert.
Adam, I really like. I think Adam might be my favourite character.
I love Adam.
Really?
Controversial opinion, but I love Adam.
No.
I felt so sorry for him.
I do
Also,
feel.
this is just gonna sound like
Yeah. Sorry. Apologies,
Eating
eating,
my pizza.
but we're dying. I am anyway.
I'm not.
She's just greedy.
Brag.
We're all dying.
Right. Right.
Everybody is.
Should we start this?
Death is imminent.
Right.
You can't escape death.
I think we should start this from the beginning again.
Okay, so.
So episode 1 opens with a very graphic scene, which some people are apparently offended by, but
What is it?
It's just boobs.
it's when
Oh!
Amy and Adam are sleeping together.
Yeah.
But I think it was the sun again. I'm gonna keep bringing up the sun because I hate the sun. The sun is a travesty
Next
of a
week
newspaper.
we're bringing on the sun.
But they were talking
Awesome.
about how it's a very difficult thing to watch apparently because of such a graphic sex scene.
It wasn't even that graphic.
It wasn't even
Exactly.
that bad.
Nobody complained when the opening scene of Game of Thrones had dead children in it and stuff like that. So I don't understand why this is a problem. However, we're introduced here to Amy and Adam. Adam ends up being the main focus of the first episode, really, I would say that. Well, I would say it'd be a lot of the episodes kind of start with, for want of a better phrase, monster of the week. In terms of it is kind of, the episode starts with sexual problem of the week for a few of the episodes.
Yeah.
So Adam is the one first because he's struggling to... He has to fake orgasms. So the show starts basically with Adam faking an
Have you
orgasm.
seen...
Yeah.
So you know how there's that whole theme of no context, like Peep Show, no context in betweeners. There's a no context
Sex
Sex
education.
education.
That didn't take long.
and I think Netflix made it. I think they realised it's a good.
Definitely.
I love them accounts.
And one of them is her leading around holding a condom saying, "Where's the spunk?"
Amy's the best. I like Amy
She's
because
my favourite character.
she's
so
so
like.
to the point. Yeah.
Oh.
She's just so like.
Also, we were talking. She reminds me like facially of Cassie from Skins.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, she does.
But I think it's just because she has an overbite. So yeah, and I think also Adam, like, I do think it was very obvious from the beginning that Adam was not straight.
As soon as you had your first interaction with Eric, I was like, oh, this guy
Right.
has some kind of feelings, or he's struggling with his own sexuality, is what I thought.
There's like
But
the sexual tension there.
I do really hope
Mad.
they make him bi rather than gay, because
He must be bi because
yeah, 'cause
he had
he
very
really
strong
did
feelings.
like Amy.
Yeah, he really did like
'cause
her, yeah.
There's like a whole like thing about how hardly ever are there bi characters in media, and I think especially in this show because it is so diverse.
I would also like to think the character of Otis, we are introduced to him faking the fact that he's been masturbating. Like, his mum calls him out on it, I think in the same episode probably.
Yeah,
Are
it
you
is.
pretending you are masturbating again? And I just like how the fact that his mother is so casual about sex and her entire lifestyle means she's so casual about it is what's affecting him. And also we learn later down the line his problems with it also comes from his father.
Yeah.
When you realise he sees his father sleeping with a client of his and then asks his mum about it, and then all his mum says in that scene is how much that sex can cause pain and it's all about pain.
Yeah.
And even though I don't blame his mum because his mum is obviously very hurt hearing that her partner is cheating on
Getting
her.
a bit emotional.
Yeah, but hearing that her partner is cheating on her, but immediately understand why he struggles with sexual things.
Like I was saying about Will Poulter, you see him as the character. Me and my flatmate were talking about it. It's the same with Asa Butterfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not seeing the
You
little
don't see
boy
him as
from
anything else other
Boy
than
in
the character he's playing.
Pajamas. I was seeing him as Otis, like he was Otis.
Yeah, for all of the cast, I will say this, the lack of shame they had to had for all of their characters is a testament to them,
I
because
think, like Maeve, I don't think there was much of it.
still to an extent though, she's not as she doesn't get as naked as some of the other characters do, but she's still having sex in a car and
Yeah.
you know that kind, you know what I
I
mean?
think the worst and the best is about when Amy says about how she was masturbating all night. She ate 4
I
crumpets, and I
loved
think my
that
clip
bit.
might fall off.
That was brilliant.
Hilarious.
Amy-
I think Amy is the
Perfect.
best character.
She's so
I
funny.
actually- I don't
Wanking
like-
all night.
I think
I ate 4 packets of crumpets.
Because she had to tell him. She didn't have to tell him, but she did. He closes his locker and she's there like, I've been wanking all night. It's the best.
Oh, I think Amy and Adam are my favourite characters.
Really? Nah, I really like Otis. I
You
really...
said earlier you hate Otis, and then you're like,
No, right.
actually no, take it back.
I'll talk about it, right? Otis, I think, is a very good example of what we talk about now of the nice guy culture, if you know what I mean. Where, like, so nice guy culture in a nutshell is there's boys who think they're nice, and because they're nice, they think they should be able to sleep with people because they're nice to them, right? Which is wrong.
Which is bollocks.
Exactly. I think Otis isn't... I think Otis is terrible for that, but I think it's kind of a good way of showing how somebody who's trying their best to be completely nice can also be awful. You know what I mean? For the main example would be when he has the argument with Ola at the ball, at the dance, and they're like...
That is painful to watch.
But it's weird because
I'm pouring wine. I'm not weeing.
they would assume you're pouring a drink. But I think I will say this as a guy. I've probably thought that about people before, but never said it, if
What?
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
About basically, thinking a girl is more attainable than another girl, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but
Which is a horrible thing to think.
I think you do think it, you just don't say it.
I agree. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I understand where it's coming from, but I understand that it's utterly and completely and disgustingly wrong.
And
you know
I
what
think
I mean?
the issue is that at that point, there's also been like Eric's birthday, how he treated. There was a bad thing with. Oh yeah, and the whole giving Jackson information about Maeve.
Yeah.
Like
So-
it basically, he kept doing things that were like, oh Otis, oh Otis.
The thing
So-
with Jackson was an accident. That, like, he didn't mean to do it. 'cause
I
he
agree,
tried to.
but because it's an accident doesn't mean he didn't do
Also-
something wrong.
Yeah.
I am also gonna say like it did. Like Maeve was happy for a bit with Jackson.
But I
And I
think,
can understand that, yes, you wouldn't want someone to make up their whole personality to sleep with you.
But
well,
that-
not even sleep with you, to
but
be in a relationship.
that's kind of why she was in the relationship, though. She didn't think about getting a relationship until Jackson learnt all the things from Otis
yeah,
about
I think
her.
though Jackson should have just paid more attention to Maeve. And I think you also need to put some of the blame on Jackson. But
I agree. No, I
If
do
he
agree, yeah.
actually spent more time with Maeve, he would have found out all
yeah,
the
Yes.
if he
things for
didn't
himself.
if he wasn't just thinking with his Willie,
Hmm.
then he could have he should have spent. And I get that she was not actually wanting to go on dates, but he could have just been like, oh well, it's not a date. A few of my friends are going. Shall we go? You can invite Amy. You can invite Otis.
But just to say what I liked about Otis was he was flawed. I just like a character who is flawed. I like a character who's not perfect.
Yeah, because I think that was a bit like all of them had their flaws.
Which is
Like,
why
it was real.
it's why I enjoyed the fact that a lot of the final episode was him apologising. Which
Yeah.
is what I really liked, the fact that he was very ready to own his own mistakes and apologise to a lot of people. I don't know if it was in the last episode, but his apology to Eric. No, it was the episode before when he danced with Eric, which was
let's
fantastic.
talk about
that.
Otis and Eric, because
Yes.
I've
We
seen.
haven't mentioned Eric yet, have we?
Yeah, I love Eric.
Eric is also one of my
amazing.
favourite.
Like Eric and Otis are obviously like best pals, and then I like how there is the thing where when Otis starts becoming closer with he's getting jealous, because that is something that happens. Like I have experience of sixth form having issues with sixth form friends and friends from secondary school, like a bit of like.
Also, it can be difficult when a friend gets into a relationship because they're spending time with them.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to think, I have to take a step back because for them, or sometimes they do just cut you out. So it's a weird balance to figure out where you are in the
And
middle.
I think
if you know what I mean.
it's because also I do think sex education, like it's, while obviously it's enjoyable for people of our age to watch, I think it is made for people around that age, and I think sixth form is the point where you do start to get to the thing where your friends are going to start getting into relationships. But basically, I just really like Eric and Otis' friendship. I hated Otis in the episode with Eric's birthday.
Well, I will say,
Yeah.
with Eric's birthday, the entire time you're like, what is Otis doing? Why does he keep ditching Eric for this girl? If you know what I mean. Even though you don't hate Maeve, you love Maeve. You at this time, you're very accustomed to who Maeve is, and I'm pretty sure you like Maeve.
She did annoy me though when she was like
when she was,
forcing
when she was being
Otis
mean
to go with him.
Otis.
See, I got that, but at the same
I
time...
was like, he's
But
saying he
also,
needs to spend time
all
with his
I'm
friend for his
saying-
birthday.
But
And
the-
she doesn't
I
respect
think,
that.
I think what Otis should have done
is
is
tell her.
explain to
He
and
never
or-
tells her.
Or
No.
explain to Eric that someone has sent around this picture of this girl's vagina and is going to post it around, I need to go help. And I think Eric would understand that.
I don't know, because at the same time, I feel like it's Eric's birthday, and even though that Otis and Maeve are now involved in this sex clinic that they've started themselves, right? At the same time, right, this picture and what's going around has nothing necessarily to do with them. They've kind of pushed her. Maeve admits later on that she's put herself in this own situation to get out of the meeting the parents with Jackson, but also mainly because of her own insecurities about how she's been bullied and how people have treated her, which I do understand.
I think basically Maeve should have just let Otis go and just gone and done it on her own.
Yeah, because Otis, but at the same time, Otis, even though he doesn't want to, never properly explains to Maeve why he doesn't want to do it. And I think it's because he has obvious feelings for Maeve, and I think he puts his feelings for Maeve before Eric, which I do think at the time is wrong, if you know what I mean. Is that the same episode where you think for a second they're going to kiss for the first time, and then he just screams, "I'm a virgin."
Yeah.
Like,
Is that
is that the same
Off-Bridge?
episode?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
That was brilliant.
I really enjoyed that. I was like, yes, that, poor Otis.
yeah.
But I was like, Otis doesn't deserve anything from this because of what Eric has had. Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
While Jackson annoys me, Maeve was in a relationship with Jackson at that point. So when she was going to kiss him, I was thinking, don't.
Yes.
Especially because I don't think at that point you knew all the Jackson stuff. But I loved how they did bring in the whole, my parents expect so much of me, I have anxiety disorder, and that sort of stuff. Because I feel like, again, it's a whole sort of thing where most film, like High School Musical is the only one springing to mind.
That's fine.
Like Troy Bolton.
Yeah.
Like,
With
he's so
his-
perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing affects him.
Yeah, but you do see in, I think it's High School Musical 1, 2 or 3. No, he does have a go at his dad because he's like, "No, Dad, this is your dream." And the dad's like, "Yeah, but you're good at
This is your dream,
basketball."
not mine.
It's like, "This is
Also,
your
what I
dream.
also,
give
I
up
just
on your
want to
dream,
do
not mine."
school with
Also-
Gabriella."
also what I enjoyed, Jackson had same-sex parents, and it was never
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah,
it was
that
just,
was just-
he had same-sex parents. It was fine.
I love
Brilliant. This show, right? When people complain about diversity or whatever like that, this show is just like, find a box, we'll tick
Watch
it.
it get
We'll-
cancelled.
Don't.
Like, watch this show
I
get
would cry.
cancelled.
I've heard a lot of people saying this is the best original Netflix show for a while, and I think I do agree.
Stranger Things in terms of plot, but in terms
Yeah, but when was Stranger Things
Sorry,
last
into
out,
it.
by the way?
by the way.
I haven't enjoyed a Netflix show since maybe Hill House. Hill House was...
I haven't watched it because it's my house. The Haunting of Alison's house, pretty much.
Nobody knows this. Nobody knows your
My
surname.
last name's Hill.
But Hill House came out in... Was it October or November?
October?
Anyway, watch it because if you like editing, you will love Hill House. It's the greatest thing ever.
You're one of those freaks who really
watch a show for the
as if
editing.
I'm not.
I
You're
will
one of those
say
freaks.
that. I will say that. All three of us are the freaks who are like, mate, that everything was so good. Sorry to turn into Will Poulter,
Did you
but...
see that transition?
Oh my
Oh my god, Stefan, did you see the transition? I love like how Colin only speaks to Stefan.
Mate, right.
Stefan.
Mate, they did
Stefan.
they did a thing earlier and then they came back to it from a different angle and I was like, oh.
Power and control. I also liked how it took. It makes like such a laugh. I'll be here all week.
Carry on.
I liked how it touched on like important issues like abortion, revenge porn, and the whole. Because while I was saying to you earlier about the virginity thing, I think I really took in what you said, and I do think it's more like Otis is getting stressed out because all of his friends seem to be losing their virginity, but he's like, oh, not ready yet.
Yeah.
So I think it is very much like telling these 16-year-olds who are watching, don't be stressed out about virginity because only do it when you're ready, which I think is a very important thing to tell.
I very much agree. I also like I honestly think it's the third episode when it starts getting kind of, not, I would say difficult to watch, but you know what I mean?
Like,
Like
it's
emotional.
yeah.
Because I think it's the third episode where
Maybe get some abortion.
Maeve has an abortion and you meet, I can't remember her name, but the woman that she kind of bonds with there.
The quiz show woman.
Yes. Where she keeps calling her Einstein and she
Yeah.
gives her the chocolate mousse and everything. And it's just really, it's just, they're both really struggling. And it's, the thing that upset me, I think, the most is when they're holding their hands and they're doing the little,
They do like the
little waves with their hands.
They
Just
tackled
because,
it so well.
it's because she's trying to suppress her own sadness through making the others happy. And you can kind of see it, and it's just... No, I just thought the whole thing was brilliant, because at no point... It's weird, because they have the pro-lifers who are shouting at them for an extent, but I just liked how there was no shame.
Yeah.
It was...
It wasn't the, oh, we need an abortion, so we're going to... You saw that no one actually wants to have an abortion.
Yeah.
It's always, like, a last resort. Like, they have no other choice. So I liked how they made it like that. And it was, like, the women supporting women. Like,
Yes.
we don't have a choice, we have to do this.
Because it was like... It's not... It's... Because when people talk about, oh, you're taking away life or whatever, you know, like the pro-life argument and stuff like that. But... Because they make it sound like these women just go in and go, we don't care, we're just going to get rid of it and go. But I was glad it
It's
showed...
always last resort.
It obviously affects these women, if you know what I mean, who are going through
It's
it.
a horrible thing to have to go through.
I will say, because I'm a straight white male, I wasn't very clued into how an abortion
I
works,
think-
and I thought I would like to think that this is a very good way of showing it.
I think that's like the first program that you've seen where like they're actually in the hospital. You see like the procedure, you see the medical side of
and you see
it.
how much it affected her.
Because even though the whole time you're thinking this is the right thing to do, you're, at the same time you're still thinking this is a horrible thing to do. If you know what I mean, like it's
horrible to have
very
to go through
difficult.
that.
Yeah.
Because like now, while I think back to it, I think, for example, just now, I think the reason that I got emotional, like it's something I've never had to go through. It's sort of thing which like it could happen, and I just I just like how it.
There is a bit in the show where it's
Second
like
episode of a podcast, and I've almost cried.
where it deals with people's problems being relative to them. And then there's kind of like they hit head to head. For example, there's an argument later on between Maeve and Jackson. And Jackson's talking about his problems, about how he feels under pressure all the time. He's been on anxiety medication since he was 11, I think he says. I can't remember. And all this stuff, like, because he feels like they're pressure and pressure and pressure because he has to be the best all the time. He's going to be an Olympic swimmer or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But and all that is something that he's allowed to complain about, something that but what do you think because the person he's complaining to in Maeve, is that the right person to... Is he...
I think...
What I'm saying is, right, do you have to remember your problems in relative to you?
I think, personally, that just because your problems are worse than someone else's doesn't mean that the other person... Like, that the other person's problems aren't just as bad. It's like that stupid picture where one of the wolves has, like, loads of arrows shot in its back and the little wolf... It's a meme, basically.
Yeah.
And one of the wolves has... like just one arrow in its back and it's affected, because like you have to understand that you don't know how much is actually going to affect someone. Like someone could have a very easy life, Jackson, but it still affects him, because in fairness how much pressure his family are putting on them is bad.
Whereas, you do see it, to be fair, you do see it immediately. As soon as you are
as soon as you're introduced to his mum.
An episode opens with Jackson and his like lifestyle of how he wakes up, and you see the pressure he's under immediately, don't you? Like,
because even by the school, like while I can understand Maeve being annoyed, I also think he just wants to rant. Like he's just going through a bad time at the moment.
Because you do see that he's got the pressure from both sides as well, because his parents are pushing him, but because his parents are pushing him so hard, he doesn't get to experience life like all his friends are.
I agree with that.
The drinking, the partying.
But at the same time, I know he wants to vent to somebody he feels is close to in Maeve, but I think he forgets that Maeve obviously has a very terrible time herself.
But I do also
She literally has no family.
I do also think though, because I think this is possibly just because I'm happy to let people vent to me no matter what it is. You need to accept that things affect people differently, and obviously because he hasn't had all the hardships that Maeve has had, he is very much affected by this. And while he might have the perfect life, he has such a pressure on him to be this perfect boy. So I just think that I can understand her being annoyed, but I think she should have let him get it out, because it's a lot safer than keeping it in, because keeping it in is literally the worst you could do. And obviously while he is a character, it's obviously true to everyone, and I do think that they possibly should have even mentioned in the show about the whole, just because someone else has it worse than you doesn't mean that
you're not.
I actually think they do it in a kind of okay way, but I think it's okay at the same time to understand why Maeve is still pissed off, if you know what I mean.
I can fully understand Maeve, but this is just going to go around in circles. Basically, I think even if you have it worse than your friends, let your friends talk to you.
Do you know what was a very good example in the same show about it? Is his name Anwar? The only other gay person in school, Anwar. He only comes out to his family after Eric assaults him. Eric always assumed he had the life that he had. He was out and everybody liked him. He was the cool kid. He was popular and everything. And then suddenly he realises, he didn't. He was struggling, if not as much or more than he was.
Especially because I do think there's a whole thing recently. I don't know if anyone's seen it, where loads of people keep saying, "Oh, it's easy to come out now. No one's homophobic. It's easy to come out now." And it's like it's the hardest thing I think anyone other than as we spoke about earlier, I think it's one of the hardest things you can go through, because it's you don't know that your family are going to accept you.
You can assume, you can think, but you don't know for sure. And that's always in the back of your head.
Yeah.
To be fair, I do think a lot of families now would, but that doesn't make it easier, if you know what I mean.
Because
No,
also,
doesn't.
but then there is also the whole thing where, like, do you actually have to come out? Like,
Yes.
it's
I agree.
it's not any, like, yeah.
It feels weird, if you know what I mean. Because I do think it is easier now, but it doesn't mean it is easy.
Are you wearing Christmas socks too?
Am I the only one not in Christmas socks?
I'm wearing Christmas cacti.
That's hot.
Oh my god, is this how you get a girlfriend?
Back to the matter at hand. Let's talk about Maeve's brother.
We've took so long getting through that story.
Yeah, we should talk about Sean. And how much I hate him.
Sean the sheep.
I hate Sean.
You only much about with those who cannot bleat. He's been in mind. He's one of a kind.
Oh, lots of fun with Sean the sheep.
The brother of
We
Maeve.
spoke about it before. Me and Rasheen, not me and Dylan. Basically, he's one of those people you just can't tell if he's attractive or not. Sometimes he
Yeah.
looks like Quasimodo.
But sometimes you
Sometimes
think,
he looks like...
yep.
See,
I
I thought he was actually quite a good looking person.
I think he is later on, but then there's a part where he starts selling drugs to kids and you're like, ooh.
And you're like,
Because-
actually,
I honestly think
No.
I think he is good looking, but the problem with him is he's the worst.
Like some pizza.
Yes. No.
Podcast over.
No, but I will say
The
he's
ginger hussies have broken up.
he clearly is but he clearly is maybe the worst person in the show besides the headmaster.
Okay.
Can we all agree that Sean Wiley
yeah,
is the worst?
he's just a horrible boy.
Oh, especially his effect on the
I don't know if
dance.
you'll be able to hear it, but I'm ticking off points as we make them because I'm concerned that we might go back.
Why do you keep interrupting this?
I don't think we
For
needed
no
that.
reason.
I think I might be quite drunk.
Anyway, to end point, everything that Sean Wiley does is for his own game. We haven't talked about Eric yet.
I feel like we have.
I think
No, not enough. Not his whole arc.
how Eric, when he was not liking himself and not wanting to be as
As colourful as he normally is.
yeah. He wore like the brown clothes and like just would wear a hoodie and a t-shirt. And like while obviously it is a very basic costume technique, but I think it was good. Like it was good in actually showing it. But then also I loved how, because like I do understand that like a church and stuff often gets a bad rep, whereas I think in like this, it was showing how it helped him a lot. Like
I sobbed at that scene.
yeah.
It was
That
basically
scene
like
made me so
I
happy.
think a lot of people of this generation are like I think a lot of people of our age are atheist, which is fine, and we don't believe in that.
Lad.
But I think a lot of us,
Catholic here though.
I think a lot of us get away from one of the main reasons people like religion, which is to have a faith. And a lot of people our age would go, why would you believe in religion? You're an idiot. You believe in something that doesn't exist. Why, when there's so much science here? While for me, people believe in religion for a faith. It gives themselves a reason to believe in something, which
Yeah.
I think is sometimes what somebody needs
Yeah.
to progress in
Because
their own
and I
life.
think
I've
that
been-
was.
Sorry.
You can go.
Yeah, because I've been brought up Catholic, and I still would say I'm Catholic. But I don't say it's for the reasons like I just want to believe in God. I think all the Bible's all real. I like all the stuff that I've experienced because of being Catholic. Like I've seen so many like inspiring things, and I've gone on trips, and I've found people who I can trust and don't judge me for anything through being religious.
See,
So it's like it showed the good aspect of it.
I think, because people just believe what you want to believe. Like, because there is a big issue, not today, thanks, with the fact of, like, being gay and the church. And I think that showed, because obviously, like, they all still accepted him.
Did they know he was gay?
Well, his parents did. And they still accepted him. And I don't know about the church, but, like, I just feel like it was very much like he felt like he was not accepted anywhere. And then they all were hugging him and
They're
accepting
like,
him.
welcome back. It's
Yeah.
so nice to see you.
I don't know
So
if
I
it's
think
clear,
We
right?
love you for you.
Yeah.
Did his mum know he was gay?
I think so.
Because there was a lot of time where his dad was like, "What would your mother think?"
I
But
think
it
that
wasn't
was when
about.
he
It
was-
wasn't necessarily about him being gay, but it was a lot of.
I think it was when he was doing the makeup and stuff. Which, to be honest,
flawless.
Yeah, he looked great.
Mm.
And I get that it wasn't him doing it because, like, makeup team. But, like...
But still.
But basically, when his dad hugged him before he went into the ball was just like when
it got me.
That hit me.
when
That
he said
hit me.
when he said that I
Especially
need
then
to
when
learn from my son about bravery.
Especially
like,
then when
well
you saw,
done.
like, not to take it away from that, but when you saw Adam just sat there and he was, like, just sadly nodding, it was like, oh, mate.
Because the head teacher, who
that-
is Adam's father, is the worst.
Did
person
Adam
in
punch
whole
the head
show.
teacher?
No.
He did.
He went to,
grabbed
like,
him by the
throttle him.
throat.
Oh,
he grabbed
yeah.
him by the throat and then realised what he was doing.
And then
Make
he
that
looked
final
absolutely
move.
terrified of his
Especially when Adam's quite impulsive anyway.
I really think that sex education gets me emotional because I'm feeling emotional again.
Because there's multiple times you've seen Adam do something very impulsive, which is often very violent. And he's gone all the way through with it. For
But I
example,
think he's got that from his dad.
I think everything that's wrong with Adam is from his father.
Yeah, so shall we move on now to talk about the teachers?
Well, there's only 3 to talk
There's only
about.
3 you really meet.
Yeah,
So
but
you got
like,
the head teacher. We'll talk about the head. Well, we'll talk about head teacher now.
well, the head
so.
teachers are.
He's the worst
Really?
person ever. He is awful.
I did enjoy the scene where he was dancing around the school because I was like, I'd be same.
It's,
Nah.
but also, it's just like you just want to be Hugh Grant in Love Actually, and you're never gonna be Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
One of the things
This
as
is
well.
a jump.
I think it's in the last episode. Jackson
Oh, my
says.
love.
Jackson realizes that the only reason that he supports him is because it's for funding for his school for a department, the sports
Selfish.
department. So that's the only reason he supports him. So he's like, I will swim your race. I will win your race if you let Maeve stay in the school because she's about to be expelled for selling drugs, even though she didn't. It was her own brother.
It was her own brother.
And she's there. She's basically taking a bullet for her brother. Jackson's like, if Maeve stays in school, I'll swim your race. He swims the race, he wins the race, and then when the first person to greet him is the head teacher, Mr. Goff. Is that correct?
Goff, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't take bribes. And we're kind of left with,
We
there's a
don't
lot of
know whether-
cliffhangers at the
yeah.
end of the episode, to be fair. There's a lot of cliffhangers.
Yeah, because like Maeve and Otis.
Right.
Ola and Otis.
So
Otis managed to masturbate.
So the end of the
I loved
episode
the end.
is basically one of the resolutions is that
Classic Otis.
one of the resolutions is that Otis can wank.
Woo!
But other things are like Maeve sees him and Ola, so that's not really resolved. Also, Eric sees that Adam's going to a military school.
Eric deserved better.
Yes, I agree.
Eric deserved
Adam
so much
deserves
better.
better.
Adam did deserve better.
And we still don't know whether Maeve's gonna be
Gonna stay at school.
expelled or not.
I think I'm at the point where I'm too drunk. Anyway, yeah. And also,
I
let's
like-
just discuss though the best teacher in the crowd, Jim from Horrible Histories.
He's not the best teacher, but
Woo!
whatever.
He was.
He was
I know,
fun.
but he was a cringy
He was
teacher.
supposed to be an
but he
embarrassing
made me-
alcoholic teacher,
He made me
just-
chuckle. Henry.
William, Henry, Stephen, Henry, Richard, John, Henry, Edward, Stephen, 3, 1, Henry, John, son, Edward, Richard, third, Henry, Ed again, Mary, 1, Queen, Bess, Jimmy, Charles, and Ben, Jim, Will, Mary, Anna, Gloria, George, Will, Victoria, Edward, George, 6, and Queen Liz to complete the list.
I said
That's
this
all
will be English kings and queens
since William first that there have been.
This is my official resignation from the podcast after hearing that entire thing, because
It's a brag.
genuinely, that is the worst thing I've ever seen.
I love Horrible Histories with all my heart, and I
Yes.
love that.
I
Jim was in
do,
it.
but there was no need for that.
There's always need for that. Any excuse, I will sing Horrible Histories.
So yeah, who he helped, like Adam. So like obviously he had the whole issue where he felt like there was too much pressure on him because he was
too big.
he did a Willy was too big Willy. And then also his
I did struggle to empathise with him there.
basically he helps this Adam, this couple who are struggling because she doesn't like how she looks, and I really like that.
And I enjoyed
Not that she doesn't like
Yeah.
how she looks, just like
Is this the couple who he talks to in the bath?
yeah.
The bath, yeah.
I think that was a really good episode. The lesbians, the ginger lesbian, and I know this is controversial on the Ginger Hussies podcast, did not like her. She was horrible.
I felt she was very unfair to her girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand it's difficult to be like, actually, I don't feel the same about you, but she was mean about it.
Yeah,
I
like you
agree.
should
She
like I
don't lead her on. Don't just.
What?
especially because like they were friends, and like it's very easy to notice when you're not feeling the same towards someone you were friends with.
When
Yeah.
did they learn French? Because didn't he talk to them in French?
Yeah.
Did I imagine that?
No, they did. They did talk. I think they just happened to speak French
Okay.
because they were sat in a French class.
Weird choice, but
Yeah.
I was suddenly like,
There was
why
that-
are they speak? Because I'll admit, when I
I
watch
think
things,
it was
I
like
am
a
on my
good
phone
way
a
of
bit.
making a connection between the two,
Alright.
like
It's just
thing
'cause-
in common they had.
When I watch things, I'm on my phone a bit, and I'm suddenly like, why are they speaking French? Why? I don't know French.
And then there was a boy, obviously, who really fancied that girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I also
Oh,
like having it that
God.
because obviously it was a whole thing where it was like just because she doesn't like you, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't like you back, just leave it,
Yes,
which was good.
I agree.
But I think we're gonna have to end it here.
Yeah.
So next week, Roisin will be watching Star Wars: The Phantom Menace,
For the first time.
In
and this whole time,
forever.
hopefully not falling asleep.
Yeah.
We'll watch it sober.
It's fine if you do it.
It's
Sorry.
It's really bad.
it's not very good. So we will.
I can't wait.
But anyway, fair enough.
Fair enough.
See
you around.